Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back to the Maverick News Channel, everyone. I need to check my microphone. Yeah, I think we're okay. Yes, we are. Audio is good. Video is good. Hopefully, we're streaming out to all the proper channels tonight. That was quite a broadcast we had last night. Live coverage of the People's Party of Canada 2025 State of Our Nation Gala. It was a privilege for them to include us in their event last night. So thank you for that. And tonight, reflection, briefly anyway, on last night's baseball game. Yes, I did tune in like millions and millions of others to see the finale, the heartbreaker for Toronto. Everybody at the beginning of the game, I think, thought, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. And they just came up that much short in the end. One run, LA Dodgers, back-to-back World Series champs, and great series. And I'll tell you, it's if you're in the World Series, even if you don't win, you're still a winner, right? And I'm not talking about a participation trophy. I'm just saying to get to the World Series, even if you're on the losing team in the end, wow, what an experience. What an achievement. Those guys, those athletes, just absolutely amazing performances. And that whole series, that was a war from start to finish. 7 games, the one game went 18 innings. Unbelievable, the performances. And I don't usually watch baseball, but when something like that happens, that's not just about baseball. That's human achievement. And last night, it was also about national pride, and nothing to be ashamed of at all. Even though I have been looking at online at some videos of people celebrating and mourning the loss of the game last night. This one out of LA. Well, before we get into the intro for the program tonight, I'll bring you this. And it's okay. I forgive you for saying Canada sucks. LA fans. Do we have audio? Here we go.
Ohtani never gambles! You hear me? Never!
Dodgers, baby!
Yeah, let it
Let's go, Dodgers! Yeah!
Canada sucks!
Canada burn Yamamoto! Asian Jesus! Let's go! LA champs, blue flame in the night. Yeah, Dodgers on top. We gonna.
Okay, enough of that. I'm going to get a copyright strike. Why do people burn cars? I don't understand. They won. Let's go burn a car. Don't get it. Happens all the time. Did Donald Trump call in the National Guard for the game last night? Oh my. Anyway, we have lots more tonight to share with you. Not the least of which is this guy who seems to think he is equal to God, and he's not alone. That's what I find disturbing. I'll tell you all about it when we come back on the other side.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching. every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV.
The entire world is watching.
On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
This isn't international news, and it's not about the guy who thinks he's equal to God. We'll get to him in a bit, but this is a little closer to home for me. School bus accident. 40 kids on this bus. Happened today. Get you some details here. It's all fresh. Breaking news. We have... This is from Ontario Provincial Police. Happened near London, Ontario. That's about 2 hours from the Windsor-Detroit border, east. Here's the image. See the bus rolled over on Highway 401. The school bus driver was pronounced dead. 42 passengers going on a bus going overnight geography trip. Students and parents say the driver suffered a medical episode. So Middlesex OPP investigating the exact cause of the collision. Still working on that. We have a statement to share with you tonight from OPP, Middlesex OPP. Here we go. I've got the clip.
Good afternoon, Provincial Constable Stephen Duguay with Middlesex OPP. I'm in the City of London this afternoon as members from the Middlesex OPP detachment are investigating a single vehicle fatal collision on Highway 401 westbound. To give a bit of details of the collision, just after 9:40 a.m. this morning in the westbound lanes of Highway 401, just west of Veterans Memorial Parkway, a single vehicle collision occurred involving a school bus. Now, there were 42 passengers aboard that school bus, where 4 individuals were transported to local hospital with minor injuries. The passengers of the school bus included high school age students. Unfortunately, I have terrible news to share that the 52-year-old operator, driver of that school bus was pronounced deceased at the scene. if you have any information or if you've witnessed this collision on the 401 westbound this morning in the City of London, please contact the Middlesex OPP detachment at 1-888-310-1122. This is an ongoing investigation. Middlesex detachment members are investigating with the assistance of the OPP West Region Traffic Incident Management and Enforcement Team. Again, if you have any information that may help investigators in this collision, call Middlesex OPP at 1-888-310-1122. Thank you.
Okay. So that is Middlesex OPP. Now, since we're on the police beat here for a moment, I want to share this with you. This is also involving police. This is about some animals that were being abused involving police. Let me share this with you. But it's not what you think from what I just said. I'm going to share it with you. Here we go. This is a CTV clip. Stumbled on this overnight, and it just kind of put things in a bit of perspective for me. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Clip, clip, clip. Here we go. We need audio. There.
Charges are pending after hundreds of animals were recovered from a shelter in northern Alberta. RCMP, the Alberta Animal Rescue Crew Society, or ARCS, and the Canadian Animal Task Force spearheaded the rescue operation at two properties in the Valley View area. More than 290 animals, including dogs, cats, horses, and other livestock, were found at the two properties, which were operating as an animal rescue. Organizations say the animals were in urgent need of care.
The conditions that the animals were living in were quite poor. There were a handful of animals that did have to be euthanized due to distress on site. Our teams have been working hard to make sure that everybody else is okay.
Several animal welfare organizations across the province are now looking for a new home for those animals. RCMP say they received allegations of animals in distress and animal cruelty, and charges are pending approval.
Just thought I'd share that with you. Because what a contrast. What should you believe? You have police out in Alberta rescuing animals from an animal rescue shelter where they were being abused. Or you can go out to Edgewood, BC, and listen to the people who are out there spinning up a narrative telling you that the ostriches that might be called or might not be, depending on what happens when we find out Thursday, if the appeal to the Supreme Court from the farm owners will be heard in the Supreme Court or not. And they're saying that the CFIA, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, with the assistance of RCMP police out there, same organization, just different provinces, that they are secretly and in violation of the Supreme Court of Canada order, killing the birds in the middle of the night, murdering them is their word, then chopping them up in choppers, and then liquefy. Now it's gone to a whole new extreme. Now they're saying that they're being liquefied. They're liquefying the birds and I guess they're putting them in garbage bags and then into dumpsters. It is literally like a horror show. And Halloween is over. That is what they want you to believe. What do you believe? Do you believe they're liquefying the birds? And really prominent streamers are repeating this, like really with people with big audiences. Over there, they rescue animals. Over there, they murder them and liquefy them, while they have protesters zoomed in on them with cameras from every angle they can get an angle at, literally hiding in the bushes to take photos and videos of the officers at the scene. They're being scrutinized with every move they make, criticized for they don't know how to feed the birds. They're idiots. They haven't got, oh my God. Now they're murdering them, chopping them up like in grinders, and then liquefying. That's what they want you to believe. Go watch one of the other shows if you think that's where it's at, man. Like if you think that they're doing that, this isn't the show for you. Go over there. I might get into it more later. Okay, we're done. That's enough of that for now. I've had more than my fill of this stupid freaking ostrich story. Liquefying the birds.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
We'll get to the guy who thinks he's God in a bit. What is this? Oh, it's November 2nd, 2025. Oh, plus 3i Atlas is out there floating around. What is it? I don't know. Is it a comet? Is it an alien spacecraft? We're going to dig into that later in the week. I've been working on some special stuff related to that, and I hope to have it done by the end of the week. So stay tuned for that one. 3i Atlas. It looks really cool. I've been looking at some of the science stuff behind it. And it's a very interesting thing. If you're into that kind of thing, and sometimes I am a little bit, but it's become, well, it's taken on a life of its own on social media too, and we're going to dig into that. Like I said, special report coming up, I think Friday. So I'll be back with that. What else do we have? This is not the guy who thinks he's God. We're being told by authorities in London, not London, Canada, London, England, no evidence of terrorism involved in a mass stabbing on a London-bound train. So this is an attack that left 11 people injured overnight. Authorities saying it's not a terrorist incident. This is a British national who was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder of the 9 people initially reported to have life-threatening injuries. Several cases have since been downgraded, and 5 people have been discharged. One person who is a member of London Northeastern Railway staff who tried to stop the suspect remains in life-threatening condition tonight. So detectives have reviewed closed-circuit television footage from the train and say it is clear his actions were nothing short of heroic and undoubtedly saved many people's lives. But they say, quote, nothing to suggest that this is a terrorist incident. That from Superintendent John Lovelace. 11 people stabbed. So if not terrorism, what's the motivation? I've seen reports suggesting the person who was arrested was also shouting or calling on police to kill him. And I have personally, covered stories like that where suicidal people will do things to get police to come, and they'll engage in a horrific act like that, or just even barricade themselves in a house so police will show up and kill them. So there is that aspect to some of this stuff too. But I don't know if that's the case here. I'm just saying that that is absolutely plausible. Let's go over to NBC, pick up what they're saying about it tonight.
Breaking news out of central England, where 2 people are under arrest after police say they stabbed several people on a train. NBC's Raf Sanchez is in London with more.
So
Raf,
2
what
people
more do we
now.
know?
Willie, this was a terrifying scene that unfolded last night on a passenger train heading into London. Police are saying at least 10 people were wounded, 2 of them suffering life-threatening injuries. Authorities are saying they now have 2 men in custody on suspicion of attempted murder. They're both British citizens. But crucially, police are saying at this point, there is nothing to suggest that this was a terrorist incident. Now, the stabbing began while the train was in between stations, so the driver kept going until the train pulled into a small town called Huntington. Police were waiting there on the platform. And British Prime Minister Keir Starmer saying, "My thoughts are with all those affected, and my thanks go to the emergency services for their response." And a lot of people here in the UK waiting for answers on what exactly the motive was here. Willie?
All right, we'll stay on top of this developing story. Raf Sanchez in London. Raf, thank you.
Well, so 2 people arrested now. We'll come back to that one, I'm sure, in the next day or so. So let's just shift gears. Let's take a look at what's going on internationally here. I know that Ukraine has been targeting energy infrastructure in Russia again. We know that an oil depot in the Russian-occupied city of Shakhtarsk in the Donetsk Oblast was attacked overnight, according to footage posted on social media. Powerful explosions hit the facility, which was struck shortly before 8 p.m. local time. This being reported by the Telegram channel Excelenova Plus. They are citing video as evidence of the attack, and air defenses continue operating in that region, according to local footage. I think we have some video here. Yeah, let me cue it for you, and we'll run this clip. Here we go. Are we up? This source from the Kyiv Independent. Right here. So we've seen Ukraine ramp up attacks on energy infrastructure. It's definitely having an impact on Russia's economy, which is the plan on the Ukrainian side to attack the energy infrastructure, oil in particular, and that means Russia doesn't have it to sell. And it's not just about hitting the infrastructure for refineries and so on. They're also going after tankers, as you saw right there. And oil depot hit. Now also, drones have been spotted, I guess, over a military base in Belgium. And this is the second time in just 24 hours. So it comes just a day after several drones are spotted on the same air base. Belgian Defense Minister Theo Franken said the investigation into the incident is ongoing, adding that images of the drones were captured in flight. And following the second incident, a police helicopter gave chase, but was unsuccessful at intercepting the drone. And so, well, officially unconfirmed, the airbase is widely believed to be the host to U.S. nuclear weapons under NATO's nuclear sharing arrangements. That base also houses F-16s and will, I am told, soon host F-35s beginning in 2027. So Franken later told Belgian news outlet RTBF that the drones had come to spy on fighter jets and ammunition. He said, quote, they come to spy, see where the F-16s are, where the ammunition are, and other highly strategic information. Now, he didn't come right out and blame Russia, but connected the incident to recent Russian airspace violations in other parts of Europe. He says, quote, the Russians are trying to do this in all European countries. Is it the Russians now? He says, I can't say that, but the motives are clear, and the ways of doing things like this are also very clear. War is truly a drone war, and the defense ministry really needs to prepare for that, he said. So that's what's going on the Ukrainian front. And the escalation continues off the coast of Venezuela, where we have this massive arms buildup by the United States military under the direction of Donald Trump and the Secretary of Defense. That's his real title. He can call himself anything he wants, I suppose. He wants to be called the Secretary of War. He can call himself that, but his actual title, without approval on a change from Congress, is Secretary of Defense. RT even picking up on this. 3 killed in U.S. attack on boat. U.S. forces have taken out an alleged drug smuggling vessel in the Caribbean, according to Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. So this is another one, I guess. I can't keep track of them. There have been so many now. The attack was the latest in a series, it says here, of U.S. strikes in the Caribbean and Pacific that killed at least 18 people earlier this week. 18. President Donald Trump has said the campaign aims to cull drug smuggling operations from Venezuela and Colombia, accusations both countries have denied. And it's at the point where it's so blatantly obvious that this has very little, if anything, to do with actual drug smuggling and everything to do with regime change, that only a handful of people, I think, at this point are continuing with the drug narrative, because I think even people on the military side with the U.S. are kind of like, yeah, that's what it is. It's regime change. And you've seen the clips that we've been running here from Rand Paul criticizing this approach to dealing with the drug issue, because it is actually illegal, both in terms of U.S. and international law. Here's the latest video, unclassified by the U.S. government and released by Pete Hegseth. And there it is. And I don't know how many people have been killed now. I've lost track. And I only show you the RT article to just illustrate that this is something that is getting international attention. UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk on Friday condemned the U.S. strikes in the region. He's calling them unacceptable and has urged a halt to the, in his words, extrajudicial killing. We've also seen an increase in military buildup from the Venezuelan side, and the information and the propaganda war is escalating too. Here's the latest shot across the bow on the social media scene from Venezuela. They've released this propaganda video showing their forces are ready for what they believe is an inevitable invasion by U.S. forces.
Se prendió el param pam pam, dime cuántos son y dime dónde están, porque no cruzan el río si está nadando el caimán. Al estilo caraqueño con 3 perros en una van, en cualquier parte del mundo los míos te abordarán.
I'm going to pull the audio down so we don't get a copyright strike. I mean, this looks like a promo for an action film or maybe even a video game at this point. And that's really, the problem with war today, is that for the majority of people like us, it is just a show. It's a movie, a television show, an online social media reality video series. And that is obviously meant to try to intimidate. And the political rhetoric ramps up. You know, I remember when the war in Afghanistan was declared, when the U.S. went to war in Iraq, it was really CNN at that time that was driving the narrative. At that time, I participated in a panel with, there were a couple of university media profs. I was working for CTV at the time. And there were some other journalists that they had asked to participate. And I remember a couple of the university professors who were, honestly, they were pretty left wing, very left wing in one case, but nevertheless, you know, respect for their views. And, you know, in hindsight, they were pretty accurate on a lot of the stuff they were saying. You know, they were pressuring me, saying, or wanting to know if I was under pressure at CTV to, and I was just a local regional reporter, but they were like, you know, they were basically throwing accusations that, you know, my messaging was being controlled and manipulated by the powers that be at CTV. And I was like, no, like, not really. And it was true. But, you know, for the stories, kinds of stories I did, that I don't think there was much of a need for the network to pressure me to, you know, shift or change my editorial content at the time. And I really didn't find that there was much manipulation. Though there were a few stories in the first 80% of my career where there were, you know, some disagreements between myself and maybe an editor, but nothing really major that was like career threatening or anything like that. Only maybe 2 or 3 stories in all those years, and that's to be expected. That's actually, I'd say, pretty fair. The places where I worked, I didn't run into too much pushback from news directors or editors. So I wouldn't say that I was really that controlled. When I finally left, there were a few stories where, yeah, there was a push at the national level. I get pushed back a couple of stories that I did that I found was pretty concerning. The way that they were, what's the right way to phrase this? They were rewriting my scripts so that they were distorted. And that was an editor, a couple of editors up at the national desk. I didn't like it. And it was because of political correctness at the time. And I found it really distasteful. Yeah, maybe there were more than a couple as I think back. That's one of the main reasons I left. I had to get out of there. But anyway, at that time, I wasn't experiencing that. Well, here's Fox News. They're the ones really kind of driving the narrative for the Trump administration at this point. This is Maria Corina Machado. Venezuela went from the richest to the poorest country in South America in 20 years. I think this is the opposition leader in Venezuela who was given or won the Nobel Peace Prize, the one that Donald Trump wanted but didn't get. This lady got it instead. She says, I have to say that Venezuela is the living example of the devastation that socialism and crime can bring to a society. Less than 20 years ago, Venezuela was the richest country in Latin America. Today, it is one of the poorest. It's because socialism talks about everybody being equal, but it's everybody being equally poor. There's no such thing as a free lunch. When the state gives you something, it takes something away from you, and it's your ability to make choices and makes you dependent on the state. This is very dangerous, and I hope that Venezuela's example can be seen and learned from other societies and nations. Yeah, I've said things like that myself. I believe in individual rights and responsibilities. And I'd like to maybe have like less state involvement, government involvement in my life. But I've been to Cuba, didn't really like it there, didn't like the economic system, didn't like, the standard of living for a lot of the people there. But there are a lot of reasons for that. And I don't want to invade Cuba. I also don't, I'm just saying personally, I don't want to invade Venezuela either. And at this point, with her being interviewed on Fox News and being in opposition to Maduro, how much influence do you think the Trump administration has over what her political activity is in Venezuela? Do you think maybe she's a puppet that they want to install?
Have to start by asking you, as a person who has spent so much of your life fighting against socialism in your own country, Venezuela, give me your response whenever you look here to the United States and you actually see people advocating and fighting so hard for socialism here in the U.S.
Well, thank you for this opportunity. And I have to say that Venezuela is the living example of the devastation that socialism and crime can bring to a society. Less than 20 years ago, Venezuela was the richest country in Latin America. Today is one of the poorest. And it's because socialism talks about everybody being equal, but it's everybody being equally poor. There's no such thing as a free lunch. When the state gives you something, it takes something away from you, and it's your ability to make choices and makes you dependable on the state. So this is very dangerous, and I hope that Venezuela's example can be seen and learned from other societies and nations.
Yeah, there's some truth to that. There's also some truth to, poor people needing a hand up. So I get that too. I'm not a hardliner when it comes to any of this stuff. I'm really not, one way or the other. I just want people to live well, get along, and I don't like it when people are blown out of the water with fighter jets and missiles, especially when, like, the president of Colombia says that at least one of those vessels, he says at least one, involved Colombians and not Venezuelans, and that they were fishermen, innocent. That's a pretty bold claim to make, especially from a country that's under pressure from the United States, a country that really has been, engaging in better and better relations over many years with the U.S. And where is the truth? Well, I know this. The truth is, I don't think there's any justification for blowing those boats up the way they are. Just saying. I'll be
right. Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
And since we're talking at least a little bit about Donald Trump, why don't we go all in and do our Donald Trump Truth Social scroll. Yeah, it's become something of a regular event here on Maverick News. Let's bring it up, shall we? Here's what the Donald is saying on his social media platform of choice, Truth. Is this truth? Well, it looks like, oh, look at this. Scott Adams, political cartoonist, on Monday, he says, I will ask President Trump via X to help save my life. He offered to help me if I needed it. I need it. As many of you know, I have metastasized prostate cancer. My healthcare provider, Kaiser of Northern California, has approved my application to receive a newly FDA-approved drug called Pluvicto. But they have dropped the ball in scheduling the brief to administer it, and I can't seem to fix that. I am declining fast. I will ask President Trump if he can get Kaiser of Northern California to respond and schedule it for Monday. That will give me a fighting chance to stick around on this planet a little bit longer. It is not a cure, but it does give good results to many people. And up here it says Donald Trump on it, exclamation point. Right to try experimental drugs. That's one of the positive things Trump certainly seemed to do in his first administration. Trump 1.0, expanding on that now with Scott Adams, who, yeah, he's become a fairly powerful political voice, especially in the conservative sphere. Scrolling down, what else do we have here? Roger Stone posts, blah, 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 blah. This is the one here. Oh, there it is. Congratulations to the LA Dodgers, he says. A game won by incredible champions, all caps, triple exclamation point. A lesser group of men would never have been able to win that game, or game 6 for that matter. So many stars made it all happen. Also, congratulations to ownership. What a great job they have done. See you all at the White House, triple exclamation point, President Donald J. Trump. Which does show that other social media post going around said that said he wasn't going to invite either team to the White House. I don't remember what the alleged reason was, but that was fake. So the liar, the faker, also a victim of fakery online, but now proving them wrong because he's inviting the Dodgers to the White House. And what a series, I have to say. Now here, this one is international in scope. If the Nigerian government, he says, continues to allow the killing of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into that now disgraced country. Jesus. Oh my God. Quote, guns a-blazing. Yeah, that's what he posts. Guns a-blazing. This is the president of the United States. The man with his finger on the big red button. The guy who gets followed around with the football. He's talking about going to Nigeria. Guns a-blazing. To completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. I'm hereby instructing our Department of War. Is this a game to this guy? Just the words, it's childish. I'm hereby instructing our Department of War, should be defense. War is very aggressive, Donald. To prepare for possible action. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet. Oh my God. Just like the terrorist thugs attack our cherished Christians. Warning, the Nigerian government better move fast. Let's bring it up. The words. Look at women for Trump, terrorist sympathizers need to be removed from our government. Okay. Yeah, well, I'm not a big fan of them, but I just don't like the way that word terrorist is thrown around because it just takes people's rights away. And that's the whole point, right? Then the president can do whatever he wants because the president, Donald J. Trump, even has a court ruling now saying, yeah, the president is above the law. That's right. And in many respects, the president is. Seems that you can actually murder people and get away with it. And if you're cheering for that, I think maybe you're a little misguided, to say the least. Just look at the words. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet. Sweet. Just like the terrorist thugs attacked our cherished Christians. So he just like the terrorists. No, dude, you don't want to be like that. You don't want to kill people in any way and then have that be like sweet. I think the president has descended into the abyss. His perspective is skewed. There's something wrong. The words. I find them very, very disturbing.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Yeah, there's Trump's post on Nigeria is based on both facts and exaggerations and cliches. And one of the other reasons I worry about his perspective and whether it's being distorted at times is because he's gotten things wrong in the past, because he's a social media president. He lives in a social media reality in many respects, even though he's immersed in reality as the president, flying around the world, meeting with world leaders, being briefed on wars by intelligence officials and by the people around him, who he has handpicked to replace other people he has purged from the administration so that he doesn't have anybody disagreeing with him. So he's in his own little echo chamber there in many respects as well. But what he's posted there on Truth Social, I mean, that's being amplified tonight, again, by Fox News, by, other pro-Trump influencers and even politicians around the world. And so I have to ask myself, is it facts or is it, is this post being generated through videos that he watches online? And it's, I think actually, and there is evidence to support what I'm saying here, that it's a mix of both. It is largely factually substantiated by reports from human rights groups and NGOs and US officials. It's not just online videos, but like we saw when the South African delegation came to visit the White House, this, I think, is also amplified by exaggerations and things he has seen on video. But if you think back when that South African delegation came, he had been duped by a video that he saw online that had gone viral. It had actually been out there for years, of what was essentially a protest, but it looked like there were graves all along a highway because there were crosses, and he thought that these were actual graves of white farmers in South Africa that had been killed. That was back in May. He met with South Africa's president, Cyril Ramaphosa. He brought his delegation into the White House, and they were and then Trump and his delegation presented the South African delegation with these videos. They put them up. Remember, I showed you on the program, and they had this misleading information about a video clip which showed all these white crosses along a rural South African highway. He claimed that the footage depicted burial sites or actual graves of over 1,000 murdered white farmers, tying it to this broader narrative of white genocide in South Africa. And there is, again, some factual basis for concern there, but what was basing his views on and his comments and his political stance was not really factual. That is very concerning because he's the president of the United States. He needs to get it right. He needs to base his decisions on truth, facts, not videos that are being distorted or meant to distort perceptions. So that footage was filmed back in 2020. It was along the P39 highway. It showed a temporary memorial procession, which had been organized by local farmers of various races, and the murder of a white farming couple. And those white crosses symbolized farm murders over years, but were not actual graves. So they represented deaths and murders that had taken place, but those were not the actual grave sites. And when I saw the video, I was like, those are not grave sites. But he got duped. He played the video for Ramaphosa and his delegation, and cited it as evidence of government-sanctioned violence against white Afrikaners. He pointed to the cross and said, "These are burial sites right here. Burial sites, over 1,000 white farmers." That's what he said. And Ramaphosa was surprised, shaken, asked where the video was filmed, and emphasized that white African faces high crime rates and it affects all races, not just a targeted genocide against whites. And the delegation then proceeded to try to debunk the claims in the White House. And it just became an embarrassment, I think, for Trump, because he just wasn't quite getting it right. Not to say there isn't an issue there. There is, but you need to proceed with factual information. And if you get caught getting duped and you're the president of the United States, it makes you look like a fool. And it makes me wonder how much of what we're getting out of that White House is actual fact and real true perspective. And I know at this point that a lot of what we're being shown is just not true. And a lot of what we're being fed is intentionally not true. They're lying to us about a lot intentionally in order to create a pretext to do this or to do that, or to blow up this boat, or to invade this country. And this is a guy who says he's the peace president. And what a disappointment he has been on that front. Because now we're looking at what? He's got this ceasefire in Gaza that's clearly not a ceasefire. Israel's still dropping bombs. We've seen attacks still going on in Lebanon. We have the war still raging in Ukraine. He's claimed that he stopped all these various wars, but and he doesn't want to get entangled in any foreign wars and any more forever wars. And what's he doing right now? He's building up the military off the coast of Venezuela and preparing for what appears to be an imminent invasion. And a lot of people are saying that now. I was saying it, weeks ago. Now other people coming on board. Yeah, I think he's going to invade. Yeah, I think he is going to invade. There's all kinds of evidence. It just smells like an invasion. It looks like an invasion. It walks like an invasion. It talks like an invasion. It's probably an invasion pending. Hope not. Because they're just commies anyway, right? So who cares? I mean, that's the attitude. No, man, they're human beings and they're a sovereign nation and they need to work out their own political problems. And you can maybe intervene somehow to try to, I don't know, is it appropriate even for the United States to become involved in these things and try to influence politics in other countries? Like in Canada even? Well, he gets his nose out of joint because of an ad that the Ontario government runs that affects Ontario and the trading relationship between Ontario and the United States. So that wasn't even really political manipulation or sticking your nose into politics where it doesn't belong. It's all about Ontario and what the United States is doing with regard to its trading relationship with Canada. And then Trump freaks out, has a hissy fit. And yeah, our prime minister then turns around and he did apologize because he's a diplomat. Then I see all these streamers just, I think it was last night or the night before, somebody sent me the clip and they're all like, it's like a panel discussion about how Mark Carney is destroying our relationship with the United States. Yeah, that's because I think those streamers are pro 51st staters. That's why they're spinning it that way. Like not here to defend the liberal government. I'm here just to provide factual information. That's not an accurate perspective at all. Canada didn't initiate the trade war. Ronald Reagan was a free trader. Ronald Reagan did not love tariffs. Donald Trump is lying. Now, those are facts. Demonstrably, they're provable. Reagan's own words, they were not taken out of context. That's all fake. Donald Trump tried to suggest that video was artificial intelligence. He said that's AI. No, that was Reagan. It wasn't AI. I don't know if he even knows. Maybe he knows now, but that's what he said. So if he knows now, then now he's definitely a liar because now he knows. You could say that he's an idiot and didn't know because he doesn't know history, even though he lived through that era and was familiar with Reagan and says that Reagan was his favorite president, except maybe Lincoln. I don't know. Who is Trump's favorite president? Anyway, slice it. It's all BS. Because it's not about the damn drugs. It's about taking over our country. Oh, no, Rick, no, they're just joking. Are they? Could you really sit, like, what did I see today? I saw posts online. Taking a survey, for crying out loud. Here's this one. There's another one, wrapping up the rhetoric over on Fox. No, there was a survey being taken from a pro-Trump X account. I don't think I have it up. Would you support Canada becoming the 51st state? You tell me. Maybe it's here. I don't know. I'll scroll up. There it is right there. I'm going to show you. I'll just do this Twitter scroll because it's right at the top. When all this started, like Tucker Carlson came to Alberta as he's coming to the country in advance. He phones up Justin Trudeau's office and says, I'm coming to Canada to liberate your country. And I don't think he's joking. And everyone's like, oh, he's just joking. He's just joking. He's just taunting Trudeau. No, he wasn't. I knew right then. And then we had, these other American influencers chiming in at the same time, ramping it all up. Oh, yeah. Give me a freaking break. It's a joke. It's not a joke. Here it is. Stand up for Trump. X account. Breaking. Would you support Canada becoming the 51st state? Yes or no? Poll. Oh, only 83,000 people taking the poll. I'm sure that's entirely organic. Yeah, that's just people all just, yeah, there's no money behind that. They're not boosting that. That's just very popular. Scroll down. Scroll down. Right here. Emoluments clause, breaking, Velshi. It's important to note, this is what the caption is. It's important to note that drug trafficking is not a crime punishable by death in the United States. Killing people as if they are wartime combatants instead of arresting them is illegal, all caps, under international law. There's been no declaration of war by Congress.
Waters, 8 in the southern Caribbean Sea off the coast of Venezuela, 6 in the eastern Pacific Ocean. The government has put forth no evidence that these boats are carrying drugs or that they're heading for the United States or that the people involved are drug runners or part of a drug cartel. It's important to note that drug trafficking is not a crime punishable by death in the United States, assuming the case was actually adjudicated and there was evidence and there was actually a suspect named. Killing people as if they are wartime combatants instead of arresting them is illegal under international law. Although the administration has recently been calling these people, quote, unlawful combatants, meaning participants in a war, there has been no declaration of war by Congress. President Trump has implied that he does not intend to ask Congress for a declaration of war or an authorization for the use of military force, which is mandated by law. The U.S. has built up an enormous presence in international waters off of the coast of Venezuela for this undeclared war, including the USS Gerald Ford aircraft carrier and its entire strike group. Several other warships, guided missile destroyers, F-35 fighter jets, and scores of other combat aircraft, and nearly 10,000 troops. Multiple B-52 bombers have recently flown off the coast of Venezuela. Trump has publicly said that the attacks on land are the next step. And now sources with knowledge of the situation tell the Miami Herald that the Trump administration has made the decision to attack military installations inside Venezuela, and that the strikes could come at any moment. Late yesterday, Donald Trump denied that reporting. Joining me now is Bobby Ghosh. Bobby's a longtime geopolitical analyst who's been an editor and a columnist for Time and for Bloomberg. Bobby, I need you here because I got to cut to the chase on a number of issues. One of which is that my producer pointed out that during the Iraq War, whether the government then believed or didn't believe the propaganda that they pushed in order to get America into the Iraq War, they at least made some effort to try and document it. There's not even that here. In fact, Hegseth has basically said, we don't need to actually know somebody was involved in drug dealing. We just kind of need to know that perhaps they were connected to it in order to justify these strikes. That's just not legally true.
Yeah, that's not, and we've come a long, long way from Kansas, to mangle my metaphors. I mean, there is the Iraq. You could argue that the explanations and the legal framing of that war has allowed, to some degree, the deterioration in sort of legal arguments that has got us to this point. But this administration is not even pretending that it needs any kind of arguments. They're not even trying, and they could, if they wanted to, summon a lawyer who would write a justification. You can form a sequence of words that justifies almost anything, but they're not even trying to do that. They're counting on a few things. They're counting on people who are not paying close enough attention to think that, well, these are bad guys, and if they're bad guys, then and they're bad guys doing bad things that would cost American lives. And if that's the case, well, then it's justified to take them out before they have the opportunity to do that. They're counting on the lack of attention of most Americans, and they're counting on the political opposition in this country, the Democrats, from being able to raise that level of attention and raise that level of knowledge. They're also counting on the international community to be distracted by any number of other things that the Trump foreign policy team is doing, to not pay enough attention to this. This is a soft target. Maduro for Trump. Maduro is not, and Venezuela is not Russia. It's not China. This is Trump punching down at a smaller player within the American sphere of influence and trying to bully his way into some sort of a foreign policy success.
That's it. Enough. He is counting. They are counting on people not paying attention. Like they really are. Let me see here. Okay. You know what? Like, it's not just that. It's even people like Ted Nugent. You know, I have said many, 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 many positive things about Ted Nugent. I even went to a Ted Nugent concert when I was a kid. The Motor City Madman, Cat Scratch Fever. But somehow, let me see if I can find you the clip here. Somehow, he's been sucked into the ostrich rabbit hole. Unbelievable. They've recruited Ted frickin' Nugent. And you know what it is? I'm pretty sure he just doesn't have all the facts. He's been fed the narrative. Somebody must have contacted him, or maybe he's just become aware and has been subjected to the flood of ostrich BS coming from the I don't even know what to call their side over there, if you call it a side. Anyway, listen to him, and I'm just going to unpack this.
So up in British Columbia, the jackbooted thugs.
There's no editorial or bias in that at all. Okay, continue.
We're going to go in and kill all this farm's ostriches. Ostrich, it's meat.
It's meat. So he's very confused, but not. The birds were used. They were. It has been a farm where the birds were sold for food, meat. They slaughtered them using the halal method. We know that to be true. We know a lot about that. So yeah, the farm is classified as a food production farm. But the narrative, like he's confused. At the same time, meat. But we're also told by the people at the farm that they're not used for meat. But listen to Ted Nugent some more.
Long-legged, funny, goofy-looking bird meat. And so
it's meat.
Some of their birds were dying from the avian flu, the bird flu, which I'm not believing for a minute.
Okay, so I don't know. That's that's like a mind control thing, where it's like that's the justification that the government is citing, and he's just saying, I don't even believe that. So what? You don't believe in the virus? You don't believe in the bird flu? So he's just totally dismissing it, I guess. And yet I know that he does believe in viruses because there's another video circulating out there of him talking about mad cow disease and its origins and viruses. And I think he's on Joe Rogan talking about that. And his position on that is sort of 180 degrees to what he's taking here. But let's continue.
But all their other ostriches were perfectly healthy, but the Canadian government's going to come in and kill them all.
Well, again, he's just being told they're perfectly healthy. We don't know. That's a claim that's being made. And the issue is more complicated than just that, but that's the narrative.
And this lady is so smart. By the way, Dr. Oz and I forget who else intervened. Maybe J.D. Vance?
Oh, okay. And J.D. Vance did not intervene as far as I know. It was Dr. Oz and RFK Jr. and some other, and Dr. John Katzimatidis, the Trump backer, the billionaire out of New York. Those are the people who sort of intervened. And then Trump is down there saying, Ontario government cheated and they're sticking their nose into U.S. politics where it doesn't belong. They shouldn't be spending $75 million to influence our politics while they're engaging in a political protest out at the farm in Edgewood, British Columbia. Trump administration directly involved. Oh, plus there's also the $500 million slush fund that is being offered up by the White House to separatists in Alberta.
They said, you can bring the ostriches to America. People should be allowed to have an ostrich farm, or a deer farm, or a cattle farm, or an Amish natural organic raw milk farm.
Okay, then send the damn things, because I'm tired of hearing about them. Please take them. Get them out of here. Go. And then the U.S. government can pay for whatever it is that they want to pay for. They want to just, I don't know, they say they want to do research. Let them fund it. Let them take it. Just take them away. Get them out of here.
Somebody write it down.
Yeah, well, you know what? They're not going to take the birds. That was all smoke and mirrors, just a big smoke screen, really. It was all BS. They don't want, what's Dr. Oz going to do with all 400 ostriches at his ranch? He doesn't want those birds.
So instead of slaughtering these people's pet ostriches.
See, there you go. Love the ostriches there and their pets. They're not pets. They never have been pets. They're not pets now. They never will be pets. They were slaughtering the birds for meat. That's what the place was set up for originally. Oh, plus there was also the selective breeding and bird eugenics program research that they engaged in all the way back to the 1990s. Then they were doing research. Those birds were lab animals. You don't use your pet as a lab animal. I do not inject my dog with antigens. I don't conduct COVID research on my dog. My backyard is not an open air biolab where I conduct my COVID experiments on my dog, my pet. I don't do that. Nor are those birds, those ostriches, were used as lab animals. And they pivoted exclusively, we're told, to research during the pandemic and injected those birds over and over and over and over and over again with artificially produced COVID antigens. But they've solicited Ted Nugent. They've brought him in because he's a conservative influencer, pro-MAGA, pro-Trump. And again, I've said a lot of positive things about Ted Nugent, but I don't think he has all the information on this. I'm very certain he doesn't. So they've given him the talking points and he's regurgitating them because this is a political protest. It's all political. It's all coming from the White House. And he's a pro-Trumper. And he's an influencer. He's high profile. He's a rocker. He's just got a lot of pull. So get him to repeat the talking points. That's all that's going on here.
In British Columbia, the lady went, you know, God, you got to love the Native Americans. Put that Pocahontas back on the butter, would you please?
The Native American, look, this is about the land rights issue in Canada too. Why is he weighing in on this now? What did this have to do with any of it? That's a very interesting thing. Like, and he seems to be mixing up his talking points a little bit here. This here, it's like he's got this part of the narrative included, not quite getting it right again, but it's enough to, you know, make it to just generate sympathy for the birds and also make it look like the Canadian government is violating or challenging land rights. And at the same time, what's really going on out there? It's we've seen fake Indians come out there. We've seen these fake, First Nations land claim documents put forward to the farm, through the farm, to the RCMP, and basically rejected. But it's an attempt to circumnavigate land rights while the farm is sitting there saying that they're concerned about property rights. They're letting these people asserting First Nations land rights and a land claim over the farm come onto their property and make that declaration. Government of Canada has no jurisdiction here, basically, is what they're saying. And we want to inspect the birds because this land belongs to our tribe and we therefore protect the farm. But if you agree to that, you just gave up the property rights to your farm, Katie. And then Ted Nugent weighs in on this, and he's basically backing that up because people aren't thinking things through. I don't think Katie even Katie Vasitny, the daughter of the farm owner, Karen Esperson, I don't think she understood what she was even saying or agreeing to when she allowed that letter to be delivered to the RCMP, where the First Nations said that they owned the property. That's what it was. Now we see in Richmond, BC, a First Nations land claim resulting in, we're told, possibly, and I don't even know if this is true because I have to dig into this more too, people saying that their mortgages are not being renewed by banks. I don't know if that is a claim made by a few people or that's what's being said online, but I'm going to be digging into that this week to find out if that's actually even true of there. But there's certainly, we've had a community meeting. We know that's happened because that area has now been basically turned over to that Cowichan First Nations land, First Nations community. So they have jurisdiction. They have legal oversight on that whole area. That they have sovereignty over it.
Put Aunt Jemima back on the syrup. Have they done that yet, you numbnuts? Well, you're racist to have this successful black woman on a syrup. No, you're a racist for taking it off, you dirtbag. What? I think before you become a liberal, someone sneaks into your house, does a lobotomy, and takes a dump in your skull. And instead of having a brain, you have feces soup for a brain. The words flow like a good dump after too much Mexican. Well, maybe.
Okay. Personally, I didn't find the last part funny, but yeah, it's lowbrow humor, I guess. And a lot of things I like about Ted Nugent. I like his music. I mean, he's very entertaining. Sometimes he says stuff I agree with. I don't pay a lot of attention to him, but I'll always remember the concert I went to. I got nothing against him at all. I'm just saying that he doesn't have all the info, but he's out there pushing that narrative because it's political. It's got very little to do with the damn birds, if anything, really. We'll see what happens Thursday. Court case will be dealt with at that time. I can't believe I'm even talking about the damn birds again. Here's Scott Bessent on CNN talking about Doug Ford. They're so butthurt over Ford. Okay. It's okay, man. It's like, get over it. The good news is the more they talk about it, the more people go to the actual original clips of Ronald Reagan and review his speeches and learn the truth about history. The bad part is most people don't do that. They just read the headlines or listen to the online streamers who give you the narrative.
This is unacceptable that I read that the Premier of Ontario spent $75 million sending propaganda across the U.S. border via
Ronald Reagan's own words.
Via our airwaves. Via our own airwaves. You know, it's the equivalent of election interference. Nobody likes foreign. This is unacceptable.
What? The equivalent of election interference.
Across the U.S. border via
Ronald Reagan's own words.
Via our airwaves. Via our own airwaves. You know, it's the equivalent of election interference. Nobody likes foreign. This is
Oh, I'm so sorry to hurt your feelings. Yeah, censor Doug Ford, shut him down, shut him up. He doesn't get a voice. He doesn't get to, Carney, the Canadian, they don't get to say anything about anything. We don't have a voice. How dare he say anything to defend himself? You're supposed to just sit up there and let us punch you in the face and shut the F up. Give us what we want. Or else.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
So Carney did meet with Xi Jinping and a Chinese delegation. That was a pretty big deal. Huge deal. Huge. Canada's pivoting away from the United States, and that's because of Donald Trump. It almost makes me wonder sometimes if Trump wants that. I've said before that a lot of Donald Trump's policies are actually very beneficial to China. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? Now the question is, since Canada's pivoting away from the United States, looking to do more trade with China and strengthen diplomatic relations and economic ties with Asia and China, will Donald Trump allow that? The country that, just like Venezuela and a bunch of others, and Colombia and China, we're guilty of flooding the United States with fentanyl and terrorists. What will happen? Gee, in Greenland, what did Greenland ever do to the United States or Donald Trump? Like Greenland? They're going to invade Greenland? Something ain't right. I'll tell you this, Carney, like, love him or hate him, he's trying to be diplomatic. He did apologize. And I think there's maybe a degree of good cop, bad cop going on here. Carney cannot afford to be the bad cop because he has to sit at the table with Trump and the U.S. negotiating team. So he doesn't dare say negative things because he has to be friendly. That's why, even though he knows that Ronald Reagan didn't love tariffs the way that Trump has suggested, quite the opposite. So, yeah, this week he did apologize to the Donald.
We handshake, exchange. Let's do all the variants.
With newfound friends, there are always some hiccups.
Thank you very much, President, Prime Minister, sorry. For me,
I like that. That's true.
Despite the Chilean president's slip, Mark Carney's time in Asia has largely been taken up by the actual president of the United States.
Did you apologize to Donald Trump about Ontario's anti-tariff ad?
I did. I did apologize to the president. President was offended by the act, or by the ad, rather. And it's not something I would have done.
Carney apologized in person at this dinner in the president's honor on Wednesday, but it didn't fix anything.
No, but I have a very good relationship. I like him a lot.
High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation.
The ad, which accurately uses Ronald Reagan's hatred of tariffs, the public reason the U.S. president gave for calling off trade talks, negotiations that are the sole responsibility of the prime minister, according to Carney.
Since you're the person that's solely responsible for negotiations, did you inform Mr. Ford that this is something that you did not want to go forward with?
Yes.
And what came of that?
Well, you saw what came of it.
Despite Carney's reservations, Ford told him he was going ahead with the ad, one of the most public cracks in Team Canada on how to handle the president since Carney became prime minister.
Told him that we're running it. I'm going to cut it off on Monday, and that's it.
We've already signed.
Carney labeled the trade issues as noise and said it validates his strategy to try and diversify the Canadian economy away from the U.S., personified by meeting with the Chinese president Thursday, where economic issues weren't the only thing discussed.
We had a discussion on a range of other issues, and recognizing that setting it back on track, particularly on the economic side, was an important part of the discussion.
A reset to the Canadian economy is what Carney is billing Tuesday's budget as. But with the House Leader musing the Liberals might not have the votes, an election could be coming.
Are you prepared to fight an election on this budget?
I'm always prepared to stand up for the right thing.
Carney has described the budget as an austerity document that will also have massive investments, Colleen. Contradictory claims that could make it politically challenging for the Prime Minister to find the 3 opposition MPs he needs to either vote with him or abstain to keep his government alive. Yeah. I don't care what other people might be saying. This is not Canada's fault. It's not Mark Carney's fault. It's not Pierre Poilievre's fault. It's not Jagmeet Singh's fault. It's not Charlie Angus's fault. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's not the ostrich's fault. It's not my dog's fault. It's Donald Trump and the people around him and the MAGA movement and this attitude of zero-sum politics, winners and losers. The only way to win is to beat up your opponent and take what you want. Just take stuff. It's not Trump 1.0. It's not our fault. We just have to get through this. This is effed. Effed.
The information war is raging. Truth without integrity is worth nothing. Maverick News. Because those who have power and those who seek it must be held accountable.
The world is watching.
Join our family of truth seekers. Donate today and add your voice to the chorus of Maverick Knights. Donate at maverickdonations.com. Truth. Integrity. It's the Maverick way. Maverick News. The world is watching.
But everybody thinks Trump's all about freedom. Hell, I thought the guy was, largely about freedom as well. Then the pandemic came. He didn't do anything to stop the lockdowns. He got jabbed. He promoted it. He didn't do anything to really stop the mandates that came along to force people to get the jabs. He really didn't do anything to stand up and defend people's rights during the pandemic at all. He really didn't. Waits till it's all over with, then signs some executive orders that make it look like he's standing up for people. So it's a little late, Donald. A lot of people lost their jobs. And more. And people just defending him blindly. Politics and the psyops, the rhetoric, the information warfare. And people cheer while other people's rights are taken away or ignored, violated, not realizing that by not standing up to defend somebody else's rights, they're putting their rights in jeopardy. Because if they can do it over there, they can do it to you over there. And tonight we're seeing Trump is saying that these ICE raids haven't gone far enough. CBS News, President Trump, it says, who campaigned on immigration and closing the border, says immigration and customs enforcement raids haven't gone far enough. As part of this crackdown on immigration, ICE agents have raided neighborhoods throughout the U.S. One video shows a mother being tackled by an agent. Tear gas was used in a Chicago residential neighborhood. Car windows have been smashed to grab drivers. quote, I think they haven't gone far enough because we've been held back by the judges, by the liberal judges that were put in by Biden and by Obama, Mr. Trump said. Justice is supposed to be blind, you know. Maybe there is way too much politicization of the legal system in the United States, but that's honestly what's going on with Trump. He is purging, and he is, you know, bringing political influence to bear on every level of government and certainly every aspect of law enforcement and the legal system in the United States through his administration. He said he's okay with the tactics being used by ICE because you have to get the people out. He did this on an interview with 60 Minutes, the first in 5 years, his first since he sued and then settled with CBS, the parent company, the CBS parent company Paramount, over a 2024 interview with then Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris. The settlement did not include an apology. Yeah, millions. Trump says ICE raids haven't gone far enough.
Residential neighborhood and the smashing of car windows. Have some of these raids gone too far?
No, I think they haven't gone far enough because we've been held back by the judges, by the liberal judges that were put in by Biden and by Obama.
You're okay with those tactics?
Yeah, because you have to get the people out.
I understand. Quite a number of Canadians have been detained. Some U.S. citizens have been detained, charged, whatever. I don't know. They're scooping up people, innocent people, as well as people who maybe should be kicked out of the country. But they're using some interesting tactics, you know, to get these things done, to do sort of end runs around the Constitution in the United States, people's rights. It's messy. A lot to do with the law, rights. This brings me to the man I told you about at the beginning of the broadcast, the man who seems to think he's equal to God. I mentioned this idea that some people have maybe about a week ago, I think. I just touched on it. I mentioned the sovereign citizens movement and some people who believe themselves to be sovereign citizens, sovereign above the state. I came across this video, and it's getting some traction online. And I've never been in line or aligned with the sovereign citizens movement, or a lot of these people who say Canada's not a real country, it's a myth. These people who put these pseudo or fake legal arguments forward and basically conflate and lie and distort information to make it sound like they know what they're talking about, and you can't keep up with them, and you can't even have a real conversation because everything they're saying is just gobbledygook. So how do you have an intelligent conversation or even begin to debunk things when every single freaking thing they say is some weird aberration of law and history and ethics and even religion? This guy here, what's this guy's name? Sovereign Abundant is his account. Don't know him, never heard of him before. He's got some people watching this, though. I'm going to share it with you here, with the danger being that you're going to believe or agree with him, but that's okay because we just try to share information, and I'm gonna run it, and I'm gonna explain why this made me nauseous. And this, I had a very similar conversation about this with somebody about a month ago, one of our regulars here, who called me up, and I had a lengthy conversation about this. But are you sovereign as an individual? The person who called me said, "Oh, yes." I was like, no, you're not. Well, listen.
Good morning, Canada and other countries, whatever time of day it is for you. So yesterday, there was a bill passed its first reading in Canada that concerns me a lot, and it definitely should be lighting a fire under anybody considering sovereignty and diplomatic immunity. The bill is called Bill C-2, and Bill C-2 is, I think, part of UN Agenda 23, which is the removal of your rights, part of the removal of your rights. So under Bill C-2, which passed its first reading, by the way, yesterday, it got through.
Not approved. It's I have to read Bill C-2, but that's not even where we're going with this, okay?
It essentially criminalizes the use of cash money. We saw that coming, right?
It doesn't criminalize the use of cash money. I haven't read the whole bill. It makes it illegal. If you conduct transactions in amounts exceeding a certain amount, I think you have to either report it or you have to go through certain steps. Because if you're conducting transactions in thousands and thousands of dollars, then that's a red flag for the authorities, because it indicates you're probably engaging in drug dealing or some other illegal activity. So that's what Bill C-2, I believe, is really about. It's not that it bans cash. It aims to reduce the, and don't completely quote me on this because I haven't read it, but that's what I understand. It's like it reduces the threshold or the amount that you're allowed to take out of a bank at one time, or something to that degree, because criminals like to use cash because there's no tracing it.
The second thing it does, it allows Canada Post to open any of your mail and inspect any of your mail at any time, which has not been their right ever. The third,
and again, that may be true. They probably have some guidelines or restrictions on that. Again, I have to read the bill. Not saying that isn't true, but that's not really what I'm going to be talking about here.
The thing it does is it allows search and seizure without any form of search warrant.
What he's doing here is he's getting you all jacked up, upset about this bill, which is not law at this point. It is under review through the process through which it may become legislation or the law. But right now it's not the law. It's being reviewed by Parliament. And it's got to go through these readings and then eventually would potentially get to the point where it would receive royal assent and become legislation. But we're not there yet.
So police can enter your home for any reason. They don't have to prove a reason.
And I doubt that this guy has read the bill. He's regurgitating talking points from a lawyer who has been commenting on this. And I do need to read the legislation, or the proposed legislation, myself.
They can enter your vehicle for any reason. They don't have to prove any reason, which is what they used to have to do. Anybody that uses a computer is then legally a computer and information service provider. So even if you're just little old me sitting at my computer at home, it automatically makes me a service provider, and access to my computer, they can come and take it without a search warrant. They can go through your phone and take it without a search warrant, without any legal actions. Basically, Bill C-2.
And I don't know if that is true. I need to read it. I suggest you read Bill C-2 as well. It's all available online. But who is going to take the time? I'll tell you this, I'm not going to just trust this guy.
Is an initial bill that's putting us toward a police state, because the only two places that have a similar bill or similar set of laws, because they don't all use a bill to establish a law, are police states like China and North Korea. We're that close. However, this is all the more important to establish sovereignty.
And I am not in favor of those kinds of steps. Let me be very clear. If that is the case, then yeah, I'm absolutely opposed to these bills, Bill C-2. If that is what it says, but I'm just cautioning you. Before you believe what he is telling you, read the bill yourself. I'm going to read the bill And we will talk about it another night. Let me back up here.
Establish
because we're going to get in now to the part that made me nauseous.
Sovereignty, correct status. We're that close. However, this is all the more important to establish sovereignty, correct status and standing, which puts you above all of the governance through diplomatic immunity of the host country that you're in.
Excuse me? So he's saying that what you have to do is assert your sovereignty so that you are above the law, that you are above all governance that is above the law. Are you above the law? Is Donald Trump above the law? Is Mark Carney above the law? Is any man above the law? He's saying assert your sovereignty as an individual. This is an aberration. This is sick. You're above the law. And then you get diplomatic immunity? This is twisted and not true at all. He's saying you as an individual just have to reject your citizenship, essentially, and declare your sovereignty, your independence. You're not the boss of me. I'm above the law. I'm a sovereign citizen. I am accountable only to me. I don't believe in your laws. I don't have to adhere to them. Therefore, if you're above all governance, that would give you the ability to kill someone, shoot someone in the street, which actually Donald Trump actually said that, remember? And it wouldn't even hurt him politically, and he'd just get away with it. That's really what he's saying too. As a sovereign person, a sovereign citizen, where you only are accountable to yourself, the government has no governance over you. The laws no laws then apply to you. You can do anything because you have diplomatic immunity. And there is some degree of truth to that for an actual diplomat from another country. If you're a diplomat in Canada, if you are a diplomat and from another country and you go to the UN in New York, there's diplomatic immunity that takes place there. So if you are caught breaking a law, then they will maybe deport you, send you back to your country, and you might get away with the crime in the United States because you're a diplomat at the UN. But are you above the law? Is this man above the law? Is he entitled to diplomatic immunity so that he can speed in his car? He could run somebody over, kill somebody because he's sovereign. He doesn't have to pay taxes. Who defends his property? Is that his vehicle? He's a sovereign that belongs to him. He doesn't have to have a license for it. So he gets diplomatic immunity. And if he gets caught committing a crime, he just says, no, I'm not adhering to that. It doesn't apply to me. See you later, officer. Bye. I understand that these bills, Bill C2, may be a violation of our rights in Canada. Here's the Constitution. Yeah, I'd say it probably is. Maybe. Could be. That requires a legal analysis. But is this guy, this guy says he's above the law. Back it up a little bit.
Important to establish sovereignty.
You just have to say that I'm above the law. I'm a sovereign citizen. None of your laws apply.
Correct status and standing, which puts you above all of the governance through diplomatic immunity of the host country.
So now Canada is just a host country. It's just hosting you if you are a sovereign, because he doesn't recognize the sovereignty of Canada over him. RCMP, his taxes, the municipality, the federal, provincial governments, none of it matters. None of it means anything. Indeed, even First Nations have no say over anything Even in their community, nobody has any sovereignty over him because he's the sovereign one.
That you're in. Because remember, once you establish diplomatic immunity, your property becomes a consulate. It's not part of the country of Canada or the US or wherever you are, whoever is hosting you. It's part of the country that diplomacy represents.
So if he's saying that if you declare your sovereignty, then your property, your home, your yard, where you live, your house, then becomes your own country within Canada. And they have no jurisdiction over you when you're in your own country. They have no jurisdiction over you when you're out driving around in the community, or if you go any place within Canada, because it's just a host country for you now. You're not a citizen of that country. The thing is, it's like this now opens up a whole legal mess, because if that's true, then who defines what his property is? Who defines where his property lines are? Who defines what even belongs to him? Does that vehicle belong to him? And maybe I just want to take it from him. What's he going to do about it? The first thing he's going to do is call police. He stole my car. I want you to do something about it. I want the services of police, for which I pay no taxes, for your protection, to help me. I want somebody breaks into his house. What's the first thing he's going to do? He's going to call police to defend him. Talking about castle law? Yeah, well, you better believe it, man, because if you're a sovereign citizen and your home is your castle and your home is your own country, then don't call police when somebody breaks into your house, rapes your family, and kills everyone. Don't call for help, because you're not part of the country. You're not entitled to police and protection, and you're not paying for it, so you don't get it. You better hire your own security force, or maybe even your own army, to defend your house. Does this sound right to you? Is he sovereign? Does he have his own country? Is he entitled to diplomatic immunity when he's out in the host country of Canada? He doesn't have to have a license. Oh my God.
Status and standing moves you from below government to above government, next to God, lawfully. Remember, all law is based on the Christian Bible.
What the hell? That's where I just about upchucked.
Status and standing moves you from below government to above government, next to God, lawfully.
What? This guy thinks he's equal to God. Are you a god? Is he a god? Is he equal to God? He thinks his rights come from him, that he just takes them. He asserts them. His inalienable rights, he thinks, belong to him, and that he's alongside God. He's equal to God. The government can't touch him. He's above the government. He's a sovereign, just like God, because the only true sovereign, the ultimate sovereign, I guess is the way to look at it, is God. Because even in the Constitution of Canada and the United States and many other countries, it looks to the supremacy of God. See, your rights come from a higher place. They don't come from Mark Carney. This is where our courts, to some degree, have been getting it wrong. Also the case in the United States, where some people think Trump is acting like a king. He's worse than not a king. He's acting more like a dictator, if you really want to look at it from a legal perspective. This guy makes me want to puke. These sovereign citizens get it all wrong. Your rights, my rights, everybody's rights, according to the Constitution, do not come from the Constitution. They come from a higher place. They come from God. Even if you don't believe in God, the Constitution says that they do not come from a man or a human. They're not This recognizes your inalienable rights. This document, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and it's the politicians, bureaucrats, it's the government. It's this document, the Constitution, that is designed to protect those rights for every citizen. It actually is there to try to limit the power of government and limit the power as well, not only of government, but also the individual, to strike the right balance so we can all live together, so everyone's rights are protected. Because if this guy is correct and he's a sovereign next to God, so too is his neighbor. But there's no limit. And if there's no limit to his rights, if there's no limit to his free speech, if there's no limit to his actions, if there's no limit on his property rights, and there's also no limits on the guy across the street, now you have a lawless society because no laws actually apply to anyone. His laws apply to him. The next guy makes up his own set of laws because they're all sovereign. Accountable to no one except themselves. I'm a sovereign citizen. I'm a sovereign citizen of my own country and my own property. Well, who now defines what your country is? Because your property lines are defined on documents down at City Hall, man. And so are your neighbors and the guy across the street and people across your town, all across the country. And these are things that we're going to explore as a society here in Canada in much more depth as the challenges through these First Nations land claims escalate because of UNDRIP and what we've seen out in BC. And this guy here is getting it all wrong. And these people are attempting out of fear to assert land rights, property rights, other rights, because they feel threatened by what's going on. So they're saying, screw this. Government doesn't apply to me. I make up my own rules. And this is whatever kind of law, whether you call it common law, natural law, whatever kind of law he's asserting here, he's asserting sovereign citizenry. And he thinks he's equal to God. These people are not equal to God. Don't you know the phrase, no man is an island? This leads to chaos. This leads to conflict. This leads to bloodshed, even between neighbors, because nobody's coming to settle a dispute except you and whoever it is you're having a dispute with. And that's why you have wars. And you're going to have wars in your neighborhood if people like this prevail. But this is really a cancer, a tumor that has been injected into our society, injected into Canada in recent years on purpose to destabilize everything, to destabilize the country, to ripen it up so that it's easy pickings for anybody that might say, I don't know, want to take us over.
Remember, all law is based on the Christian Bible. In any event, I wanted to share this to you so you could go off and research Bill C2 a little bit. And if you want to learn about this stuff, it doesn't cost a nickel. You can even do it all yourself, or you can have the service done for you. And this is all not even including things like bank recoupment. But this talk here is about your sovereignty, the protection of you, your family, and your home, as Canada is clearly moving into a police state like North Korea and like China. It's happening right now in Parliament. So get your head out of the sand and take the steps, what few steps there are, that you can protect yourself.
Oh, for Christ's sake, shut up. But I didn't make him shut up, did I? I brought him on. Like, not live, but I let him, I'm playing it for you here because it's so absurd. This is whacked. Crazy people. He doesn't even realize that he's not protecting his rights. He's just creating the law of the jungle for himself and his family and his neighbors and his whole country. It's not true. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. And so many people buying into this crap. I listened to that. Here's my response. Not that I haven't been giving you a response, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. You think you're a sovereign citizen. You think you're above the law. You think you, all you have to do is just declare your sovereignty. Then here's what you have to do. You have to renounce your citizenship. Some people have done that, and then they usually become a citizen of some other country. If you are a diplomat and you commit a crime that is unacceptable in our society, do you know what the government here does? Because the government here is sovereign over this land and it is a real government. They deport you. There's a process for that. Here's what happens. You get a decision by the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He looks at this, sees what you've done wrong. Then there's a declaration of persona non grata. And the diplomat is then formally declared persona non grata, which is Latin for person not welcome. And that's then communicated directly to the diplomat, or in this case, it would be a sovereign citizen who has renounced their citizenship. So please hand over your passport, pal, and your driver's license and your birth certificate, because now you no longer exist as a citizen in this country. Oh, by the way, if you're getting any kind of social assistance, you're not entitled to it anymore. No more government checks, no free health care. If you go to the hospital, get out your wallet. You don't qualify for the Ontario Health Insurance Plan anymore. If you're living in Ontario, for instance, healthcare is administered provincially. So whatever province you're in, you're going to have to pay now, especially if you're not paying taxes. And then you're going to be given a notification, a timeline for departure. If you're a diplomat, you're given a reasonable period to arrange departure, usually about 5 to 7 days. But if it's, a really serious offense that you've been involved with, because, you're a sovereign citizen, so you can do whatever the hell you want, then you sometimes that timeline is bumped up. You're given a specific deadline, though. And this has happened many times in Canada, the US, other countries. And then you have to leave the country voluntarily. Global Affairs Canada, they monitor compliance on this stuff. And if you don't leave, it could lead to revocation of diplomatic status. Entry bans, you could never come back. And yeah, they might forcibly remove you. Problem is, see, like in most cases, these diplomats, they have a real country where they are citizen, and they have diplomatic status in Canada because they're a citizen of another country and usually working as a diplomat, but a citizen first and foremost. And so they would send someone back there, and then the state would then be responsible for you to some degree as you exit Canada and return to your home country. And then, those other countries sometimes retaliate, but in your case, you're a single human being, a man, a free man, a free man unto yourself. Oh, by the way, you have no property rights here within the sovereign jurisdiction of Canada. So that house that you think is yours may not be yours after all. And that car that you're driving, not sure how that plays out either, because your car is on Canadian soil. Diplomats enjoy near total immunity from prosecution under Article 31 of the Vienna Convention. This is international law, making expulsion the primary recourse for sovereign states rather than just arresting you. Because if you're a diplomat and you have immunity to laws here, you have diplomatic immunity so as to avoid international incidents when there's a conflict like that. You just get deported back to your own country. They expel you from Canada. That's what you've got to look forward to. That's what I'm in favor of. I think if people declare themselves to be sovereign citizens, first thing, they have to turn over all their personal documents, all their ID. If they don't want to be tracked anyway, right? No digital tracking for these people. Certainly, any government assistance, no welfare, no employment insurance, no access to any government programs whatsoever, because you are no longer a citizen of the country. If you are declaring your sovereignty in order to get around all the laws, then no driver's license. And if you are driving, you better follow the rules, because if you don't follow the rules, there will still be consequences within the sovereign state of Canada, the nation state of Canada. Hand over your passport, because you can't travel around the world and flash that passport in other countries when you're entering or exiting a country, and you get to the border guard, say, I don't know, in El Salvador, and they want to see your passport, or Mexico or Jamaica or wherever you're going. Passport, please. Oh, here's my Canadian passport. Okay, right through. Thank you. How long are you going to be staying? Oh, a week? That's great. Make sure you leave after a week. Oh, you don't have a passport? Who the hell are you? Where are you from? Well, I'm a sovereign citizen. I'm a sovereign unto myself. I have my own country. I used to joke about this stuff. These people are serious. Yeah, you try going to, I don't know, Cuba. You show up at the border there and say, hey, I'm here. I'm coming into your country. And they say, where's your passport? I don't know. You can make your own. Make your own over at the business depot, the Staples place, or the copy shop. Print one up on a photocopier. See how far that gets you. There are privileges around the world that come with a Canadian passport. You get a lot as a citizen. As a citizen, you also have responsibilities. Got to follow the rules. Got to follow the speed limit. You're not allowed to run people over. You're not allowed to, play loud music in your backyard at 3 a.m. and keep all your neighbors up in the neighborhood, because there are noise bylaws. You don't do that, they don't do it. They don't do it to you, you don't do it to them. If somebody does, police come, because you pay taxes. That pays for police. They show up, provide service to resolve disputes, and sometimes lay charges where necessary. If a crime is committed, if there's a traffic accident, police show up. Emergency vehicles show up. An ambulance shows up to take people to the hospital if necessary, where you get medical care, because we all pay into a system here. Or you have insurance if you're in the United States, or whatever the system is. But as a citizen, you have access to all of these things. But you don't get to declare your sovereignty and then avail yourself of all of these benefits of citizenship within the country or the province or even your municipality, because you're not sovereign at all. And you're sure as hell not a god. You don't get to make up your own laws. You don't get to decide what your rights are. As an individual, that's not what individual rights are about. Individual rights and freedoms. Individual rights and freedoms are bestowed upon us from a higher place. They are laid out here in a way that also limits those same rights and freedoms. Not to say that the government is giving them to us. The government is limiting them. Not because they want to take your rights away, if they're doing it properly. It's because they want to make sure that everybody's rights are protected. And the only way to do that is to make sure that there's a limit on everyone's rights. So I don't have the right to kill you. You don't have the right to kill me. So there's a limit. There's even a limit on what I can say. Speech, because I shouldn't be able to incite violence, to encourage people to go hurt you, or maybe even kill you. That's illegal. That's a limit on speech. And there are many, many others. And over time, hundreds and even thousands of years, these legal concepts have been developed, and refined through legal precedent and our system. And while it certainly isn't perfect, it's the best thing that has ever come along. It's worth preserving, it's worth working through, and it's worth purging the political influence from within the system. It just takes time. And our system is designed to self-correct. We are going through that process right now after the abuses we saw during the pandemic in particular. And now these egregious abuses being presented to us, demonstrated to us by the man in the White House right now. You should be very careful about what you are cheering for with regard to the actions of that administration on the other side of the border, because they are doing an end run around laws. They are. They are violating people's rights. And this guy, he's part of it. Maybe not intentionally, but he is part of it. Because this is a whole movement, and I'm very well aware of it. So much so that, you know, I've been immersed in some of the groups that have been involved in this stuff over the past, 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it is. As this movement, this sovereign citizen movement has really become, well, it was injected into Canada, it came from the US, and now it is growing. It has grown and like a tumor. To the point where some people have it in their heads that they are beside God. And that the government is the threat, and therefore they need to be elevated to a place above government, beside God. And he's not the only one who has said that. And I've had discussions with people. If you think I'm exaggerating or distorting what he's saying in some way, I am not. This is becoming a common misconception and belief within the whole movement. It's messing with people's heads. You're not sovereign and you are not a God. I'm not a God. We're not equal to God in any way. Government isn't equal to God. The king isn't equal to God. Our rights don't come from the king, Charles. They don't come from Donald Trump. And they sure as hell shouldn't be violated, limited because of legal precedent and standards set out as a community over a long period of time, where we continue to explore these things through the legal process, and people are given due process. And as much as these people out of that stupid frickin' farm whine and complain and cry their little eyes out, don't tell me they haven't been given due process. They've had so much frickin' due process. Their rights have been respected to a fault, because our system has been on default mode, defaulting in favor of the property owner, the farm. That's why it's dragged on for nearly a frickin' year. We're almost at a year. And they're like, they don't respect the rights. They're going to destroy the farm. They've been offered compensation. They've been to court how many times? Twice before. Third time, they're going to the Supreme Court. We're waiting for a decision on whether it will be heard or not, whether it has the merit to be heard at that level. And I doubt it, but who knows? Maybe. I can't say what the decision from the court will be. We'll wait and see. But don't tell me that, it's all stacked against you. You've been given every chance out there at that stupid farm. And they've lied. They've not been honest. They don't talk about the things that are inconvenient. They only spin up a narrative and give you selected facts, and in some cases, just outright lies. They don't talk at all about the COVID research anymore at all. And they're lying when they say they weren't for food. And they're lying about, they're sometimes saying the birds weren't injected with anything and then admitting that they were and then saying that they're not. And then it's all natural. There's nothing natural about what's been going on out there whatsoever. There's nothing natural about injecting birds over and over again with antigens in order to trick the immune system into producing artificially antibodies that the ostriches themselves otherwise would not be producing. And there's, oh my God, I'm just so sick of the goddamn thing. And I'm sick of people like this dude who are either completely out to frickin' lunch or intentionally misleading people with falsities. And it's dangerous and it's disruptive. And I'm very, very sure because a lot of this stuff is echoed by major influencers with lots of backing. I'm pretty sure that it's all meant to be, well, it is. It's part of a campaign to undermine our sovereignty as a nation, to destroy our country. It's sick. Man is not a god. If that isn't clear enough for you, I can't help you. I will be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, on the flip side.
I heard old Cosmo howling last night up on the hill where the moon shines so bright. He was singing a tune, lonesome dogs cry about freedom, running and touching the sky. If I leave here tomorrow, won't you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. Cosmo's got them paws that just itch to roam. He's chasing his dreams, he's far from home. With a heart full of love and a spirit so free, he's living his life wild and carefree. If I leave here tomorrow, won't you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard of a blur. Cosmo's on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the lanes. Now the night's getting cold and the sky's turning gray, but Cosmo's still out there, he's miles away. He's not looking back, he's got his path to tread. With every step, he's leaving his bed. If I leave here tomorrow, won't you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. So if you're feeling lost, just think of Cosmo's run. Remember his spirit, his freedom, his fun. And maybe one day, when you're feeling alone, you'll find your own freedom and let your spirit go. If I leave here tomorrow, won't you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.